I'm currently under punishment. I haven't been, I think, under punishment since I was a child. Today's my birthday. Happy birthday. I am within a couple years of being 50, and I'm being punished by the mortgage company who doesn't want to accept my money. They don't want my dirty money. They don't want my dirty money. And this is a perfect example of why the Democrats, even though they suck and they're frauds, they're corrupt, they're significantly better than the GOP on matters that really matter to the average American. I'll explain why in a second, but let's start with where we're at right now. How did we get here? First, we start with, ironically, a Democrat policy that created the pain in the first place. And this is the beauty of someone who is brutally honest, who gives you the raw truth, who is not tribal. That I don't hide the detail that, in essence, the problem started with the Democrats, which is kind of puts me in an awkward situation in terms of the point I'm trying to make. But anyway, it was a Democrat policy that allowed my house, that I, decades of work to save up the money to barely be able to purchase the house. Democrat policy allowed my house to be taken over by basically parasites who take advantage of these policies that are theoretically well-meaning, but they don't execute them properly. They don't, recognize problems and fix them. They just, have them and let them sit there. So anyway, so these policies allow people to be in my house, 2 people in my house, not paying rent for over a year. All right? Tens of thousands of dollars basically stolen from me under Democrat policy. When you have someone that has a large house and it's very expensive to maintain, and on top of that you have some of these people that aren't paying, also doing damages to the property, so it's a further expense. It's financially devastating. All of the extra money that I had, right, got eaten up by the situation. And then I went into my credit, and for the first time in my life, I basically maxed out all my cards just to survive, right? The interesting thing about this is it ended up putting me, it's very ironic, but it ended up putting me in a situation, to some degree, that many Americans are in right now in terms of people who are struggling financially. They're not making a lot of money. They're barely making ends meet. So even though I was making a lot of money, a lot of that money was being eaten up by, this situation. So anyway, so that's how this thing begins. So at the end of that long journey, which I'm finally out of, sort of, the collateral damage is, ironically, I was able to survive for so long, almost 2 years. I took all those hits, and I just kept picking my head up. Got through, depression, and picked my head up. And now I'm at the end of it, but I took so many bullets, financial bullets, that ironically I'm now more broke than I've ever been. No point in time during this situation, even when I was living in my van, was I ever as broke as I am right now. And there's some other factors as well that are making things very, very dangerous for me. So I'm very, very financially compromised. So as a result, and we're missing a step. There's another step that gets us to where I am today. So in all of the chaos, there was maybe 3 or 4 months where I didn't have enough money to pay the mortgage, up until what will usually happen is I need that last paycheck at the end of the month to finally pay for the previous month. So let's say May 1st comes along, right? And I don't have the money for May. May 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 15th, 16th, I got a little bit more money, still not enough, right? And then on my last paycheck for the month is like on like almost the last day of the month. So whatever the last day of May, that money just shows up in my account, and that's just the amount that I need to pay the mortgage. Instantly, I move it over to the mortgage account and I do the transfer, right? There's an electronic thing. So I just go on the website, boom, 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 paid, and I get the credit for it for that month. So May was paid. I do get a late fee if I pass the 15th. It's $150. And I don't think it's relevant to the size of the mortgage. So you could be very poor and you just bought a little tiny house. It doesn't cost that much. Your mortgage is small. And they're going to hit you with $150 as punishment for being poor. I know that's not what it is, but that's kind of the effect, right? Because the only reason you didn't pay your mortgage on time is because you're broke, because you're poor, you don't make that much money. And now you're going to take more money from a person that barely has money as it is. Like $150, like that is a big deal to a lot of Americans, to just have to automatically just like pay for $150. And why? Not that you're buying something, not that you're getting a service. That is just something that's being forced upon you. Now, you could talk about the legality of it. When you signed the mortgage, that was part of the arrangement. That was what you agreed to. But okay, we're not talking about whether it's legal or not. We know it's legal. We know it's in a contract. Maybe if it was illegal, then we'd be challenging it, right? But that doesn't make it right? So anyway, so the point is, since I did that for multiple months, never missed a month. Every month I've always paid the mortgage. But since I let multiple months go by where the mortgage wasn't paid until the end of the month, and that's actually not accurate. It's not about paying at the end of the month. It's not. This has nothing to do with paying at the end of the month. What they're penalizing me for is because I had auto pay set up, right? And auto pay is very difficult when you barely making ends meet, right? Because you don't know, your money is like floating around where it should be and under, and it's like it's all over the place. It's fluctuating, right? So the idea that every month on that exact day when the mortgage is due, this is the largest expense, right? It's thousands of dollars. It's over $6,000, right? So the idea that someone who's struggling financially is always going to have over $6,000 available for a mortgage payment every time, that's tough. And then, so what happens is the automatic payments fail, and that's what they're dinging me for. It's not because of the lateness. The lateness, they ding you by the late fee. But what they're dinging me for, and I'll tell you how they're dinging me, what the punishment is for the auto pays failing, right? So it's like 3 auto pay failures in a row. You get this punishment. So again, never missed a payment. Every month they always paid. It's just a matter of I sometimes pay at the end of the month, but more importantly, the automatic payment fails. So as a punishment, because I've been a bad little boy, they send me a bunch of letters and they say, listen, since your auto pay keeps failing, you are now going to have to use Western Union. So here's the reality. I got paid yesterday, the last day of the month. As of yesterday, I had all the money that I needed for the mortgage. I had the money, right? Normally, I would just call them up and we would do the electronic payment or whatever, and then they would, whatever, the way you pay online, right? That's what would normally happen, right? But because of the failed auto payments, they're not allowing me to pay them. right? So I can't call them and pay. I have the money. That's the thing. I have the money. I guess if they had a local branch, I could have gone about it that way, but unfortunately that's not the case. But even though I have the money, they are not allowing me to pay them, right? They're saying you got to send in a bank check, or you got to use Western Union. So Western Union is the fastest option. So with Western Union, you would have to go use some quick pay option. There's a quick pay option where you pay them, and I guess they pay the bank, and you have to make it a cash deal. So you can't pay Western Union with a credit card. You have to pay them with some form of cash, right? Problem is, I'm not gonna walk. First of all, you want me to go take out $6,000 in cash and walk around with it, and hopefully I don't get robbed? I mean, crime, ironically, is not a big something that I think a lot about, even though I don't live in the best area. But I do live in reality, and reality is not what you see on the news. But still, regardless of crime not being that big of an issue, walking around with $6,000 in cash that changes things, right? If I'm in Beverly Hills walking around with $6,000 cash, I'm still gonna feel uncomfortable, right? When you have, because it's like, now I actually have something that is very valuable. I mean, cash, right? You don't gotta go and pawn it off to somebody else. You pocket this and it's yours. Like stealing stuff from me, stealing my phone, stealing my car, that's tricky, because now you gotta go and sell it to somebody else. There's risk with that. Also, whatever you stole potentially is identifiable, in terms of who you stole it from, blah, blah, blah. But this is cash, right? And a lot of it, right? That is just like, that's the most amazing thing for a thief. And I can't walk around comfortably knowing I have that amount of cash on me. I don't care where I'm at. I don't care what the crime rates are. I'm just gonna feel like everybody knows I have this money. I remember the first time I did a cash deposit from a store I used to work at when I was 19 or 20, and man, I was walking with this briefcase, and I swore, not literally, but it's like I felt like everyone knows I have this money. Somebody knows that I have all this money, thousands of dollars in this briefcase walking around. So the idea that even though I have the money for my mortgage, I'm ready to pay, I'm not hiding, I want to pay the mortgage, but you won't take the money, right? You want me to go to a bank and take out this money and risk being robbed. And think about what would happen then. I mean, with where I am right now financially, if I took out $6,000 and I got robbed, I mean, I'm never gonna catch up. I'm never, because right now it's June, so June's mortgage is due, right? And if that money's gone, that means that I would owe $12,000, and this is already debt. So it's not like I could pay it off over time or whatever. I'm not going to be able to come up with that. So that means I'm definitely going to go into default, and I could lose my home. So not only do I get robbed, hopefully I don't get shot or hurt while I'm getting robbed, but then I potentially lose my home. That is a scenario that the mortgage company forces me into, simply because, not because I missed a month, but because my automatic payments failed a few times. I have the money, I'm ready to pay, I want to pay, they won't let me, right? I know technically they are letting me, but the way they're letting me, it's like, it's insanity. Then the next thing is, okay, you're talking about Western Union. Western Union is like something in the supermarket. It's not like it's an official bank or something, so it's like, first of all, this is a lot of money. Even if I got the $6,000 cash, would they accept that? Well, they probably would accept it because it's cash. But that's the whole thing. I would never go with cash. So I would try to do money order or a bank check. But then will they accept the money order or bank check? And if they do accept the money order or bank check, will they accept that amount? Right? Because there's some Western Union in the supermarket, I don't know, and like all this drama for what? I have the money. Somebody at the bank mentioned something as well. They said, why won't they take a debit card? And I'm like, because the whole thing is you want to make sure, they want to make sure they get their money, right? So you don't want to do any credit or anything like that. You want cash. Well, debit card, that's cash, right? So in theory, why is it necessary? Why can't I just call up the bank, give them a debit card number, and they take the money out of my account? Boom, it's gone. It's real money. It's not credit. They got their money. Everything's good. But instead, they put me in a situation where I can actually end up in default, and this will go on my credit record for 7 years. For what? Right? And don't cry for me. I'm not making this as like I'm looking for sympathy or whatever. Think about somebody who is making $30,000 a year, struggling. You got a few kids or whatever it is, and think about the devastation of being. And it's not that you didn't have the money. It's like, okay, well, you didn't have the money. Well, you know, sorry, but you know, if you can't pay your mortgage, you can't pay. But no, the person has the money. But just the fact that it came, they had to get their paycheck at the end of the month, and that the bank is choosing not to allow that money to be accepted the normal way, which forces them to pay in slower methods, which makes it go into the next month, which makes it a default, which hits your credit rate. So now somebody who's struggling to survive gets a ding on their credit that's going to be for 7 years. And this is going to mean they're going to pay more. So when their car falls apart and they need to get a new car, and they need to get a loan for that car, they're going to pay more interest rate. So more money is going to be taken from this poor person. And what for? Not because they didn't pay their bills or whatever. No. They were a little bit late, but they had the money before 30 days. They did not go past 30 days. 30 days is supposedly the first hit, where it's like 30 days delinquent, 60 days delinquent. They had the money at the end of the month, but the bank said no. You got to go run around circles and go to some random rinky-dink Western Union and hope that they take the money orders, or maybe go around with cash and hope somebody robs you. And why all this drama? So now let's get to what I talked about in the beginning. Democrats versus Republicans. And I know it's ironic because, again, if not for Democrats, I wouldn't be in this situation in the first place. Because I make enough money, and I'm good enough with my money where you don't see me with no jewelry and all this expensive stuff. All my cars have been used, right? I don't really do name brand stuff, right? I have the things that I pay good money for, right, where I have to, but in general, I'm not going around just spending money willy-nilly. You know, that's not how I am, right? But the reality is, because of Democrat policies, it made me broke in the first place. I would have never been broke. There's no reason why I should be broke right now. No reason. The way I handle my money and the money that I make, there's no reason why I should be broke. There's no reason why I should be struggling right now. Mortgage should have been paid every day, every month, first of the month, auto paid. That's how I should be. But Democrat intervention into my life has put me into dire straits financially. However, what I will say about that is that even though for my case, the Democrats are the ones that put me in this situation in the first place, there's many Americans who it's not because of Democrats, right? So I am broke because of Democrats, but there are many Americans who are broke just because of, like, they don't make enough money. They had medical debt, or they got student loans, whatever it is, right? So there's millions of Americans who are poor and in debt for reasons that have nothing to do with Democrats. However, Democrats in contrast with Republicans, and anybody watching my channel, you know, I'm the last person to compliment the Democrats. I'm the last person to promote the Democrats. Again, I believe they're frauds. I believe they're corrupt. I believe they're weak. I'm not a Democrat. Never been registered a Democrat, and I don't think I'll ever be registered as a Democrat. Now, that being said, Democrats are the ones who will actually do things that actually will help regular Americans. For example, Joe Biden getting rid of these junk fees that the banks can charge you. That's just one of the measures. There was also some measures that they did in terms of avoiding you getting medical debt on your credit report. So these are the kind of things that can actually help out regular Americans. Just imagine you're a regular American, tax-paying, you're a legal citizen, you know, you work very, very hard, but you don't have a skill set that pays a lot of money, so you're struggling to get by, just trying to survive, man. And then you find a situation where you can't pay your mortgage on time, and even though you have the money by the end of the month, the bank plays these games about you got to go to Western Union, whatever, and then you end up potentially getting a delinquent account unnecessarily. Like the money's already there, like it's there. Like they are just orchestrating a process where slowing down the receipt of the money, such that it ends up being in the next month, such that it ends up being delinquent, such that it hits your credit record, such that it's on your record for 7 years, unnecessarily. Now, unfortunately, this is not something the Democrats have addressed, and that's one of the reasons why I don't like Democrats. They're weak, ineffective. If they would do much more than they do, then we wouldn't have to worry about people like Donald Trump. And this is one of the things that they could have done. They could have addressed stuff like this, stuff that is actually important. I mean, this is some serious stuff. To have your credit messed up for 7 years and all this extra money that you have to pay as a result of it when you're barely trying to survive is messed up. But you think Republicans would ever do anything to address that? No. They're gonna run on woke this and woke that, and they're gonna make some redundant bill that bans something that's already banned, and you know, online tweeting stuff to troll whoever and liberal tears, and you know, pretending like Donald Trump is innocent when he's clearly guilty. And I mean, that's what you get with Republicans. I mean, their rhetoric is small government, so they focus a lot on government is bad, and that allows them to basically not do their jobs because they focus so much on we got to shut down the government, and there's too much this and too many programs and too much whatever. So while they're talking about this stuff, they don't have to engage in actually functioning in terms of how can we help the American people, right? Because they put themselves as, we're here to protect you from those crazy Democrats, right? And their voters accept this rhetoric of like, they're help. If not for them, we'd be in a socialist country. And while their base is distracted by this, they're not recognizing that. So you're sitting there looking at some video talking about woke this, woke that. Meanwhile, your credit just got dinged for 7 years, right? Unnecessarily. Mortgage company just being an absolute savage, right? And Republicans are not going to do anything to stop it. So you are struggling financially, and Republicans are ignoring you, but you're helping them to ignore you by engaging in their trolling and this is socialism, whatever. So it sucks, but the reality is the corrupt, weak Democrats are actually much better than the Republicans, because at least they would do a little something in terms of policies like these, like in terms of curbing, you know, banks and their bad predatory behavior. I know there was legislation regarding predatory loans and things like that. Democrats are the ones that would be pushing for that kind of stuff. There's no reason for Republicans to have to engage with that, again, because they have a winning formula of we're just blocking the crazy Democrats. So the stuff that's affecting your bank accounts, your health care, your ability to pay your mortgage, your credit record, you know, safeguarding your credit record from these predatory credit card companies, GOP leaves you completely exposed. Democrats at least do a little something here and there because they have to. Their base wants them to actually deliver for the American people. The Republican voters, they don't, that's not something that they're looking for Republicans. Republican voters are not saying, you know, stop these banks and stop this whatever and you know, do things that actually help our lives, right? Their voters are, oh, I don't want my daughter to go in the bathroom and see a man's penis. What's up, Crunch? Hey man, I hope you're well and having a great day. Well, not exactly how I wanted to spend my birthday. But what you gonna do? I'm alive. I'm healthy. I actually can pay my mortgage if they'd allow me. Sorry about that. I gotta remember in summertime it gets very hot. The phone overheated and shut down. Sorry about that. So I'm gonna end this live stream right now. At least it's not in the sun directly, but I don't know how long this is gonna last. The artist formerly known as Cocker Tarlson, absolutely true. Dems' lack of strength is how we end up with Trump. Absolutely. And I wish more people would accept that reality. It's nice to, point fingers and like, oh, Trump sucks and, oh, right wingers, whatever. But if the Democrats were delivering, there would be no reason for Trump to be elected in the first place. And he wouldn't be having a good chance of winning again, even convicted. Can you imagine that would not happen? Right? Remember, the Democrat presidents typically win the popular vote. So there's way more people that are out there that will come out to the polls and vote for Democrats than the people that are out there to vote for Republicans, right? They have the majority on their side. All they need to do is appeal to the majority and they will win elections, right? So the fact that Trump is doing so well is basically showing how much the Democrats have failed us, right? And that's just the reality of it. Anyway, before the phone overheats again, thanks for watching. Good to see you guys. And until next time, click on the like button. Show some support, man. I do these videos for free. And I'm sad to admit, it's embarrassing, but part of the reason why I'm in the situation that I'm in right now with the mortgage is because some of the time that I spent doing videos for free, I could have spent focusing on figuring out my mortgage situation. So although it's bad, what the mortgage company is doing, it's bad that our government doesn't, do what they should to protect us. I have to accept accountability that, part of the reason for this is part of my own actions. So I've told you this before, and I meant it. When I do these videos, I'm not doing it for attention. I'm not doing it for fame. I don't get any money here. And in fact, I have paid a lot of consequences for the time that I'm spending doing videos. That's time that have a lot of stuff that I need to get done that's not getting done when I'm doing these videos. And I know when I do these videos, I'm talking to people who it's in one ear and out the other. Those who agree with me. But those who disagree with me, I'm not really changing their minds. I mean, that's not an absolute statement. I'm sure some people may think, somewhat about things and maybe I change their minds. But generally speaking, people are going to stay in their camps no matter what I say or do. But yet I still do it anyway, at my expense, right? In contrast to most everybody else that you see on this platform who are doing this for their own gain, right? They're getting something out of it. They're making money. They're getting famous. They're getting attention, right? This is costing me time and money. And it is definitely a significant liability for me, this doing these videos. But anyway, until next time.